Hey guys, welcome back. Tisha here, back for another Sister Wives review. Let me start off by saying if I use the wrong pronouns, please forgive me. It is not intentional. I have re-recorded the intro alone a few times because I kept saying the wrong name, and I'm trying my hardest not to do that. But at this point, if I do, I will just correct myself. If I forget to, please understand it is not intentional. I did go on their Instagrams, and both of them use them and they and their pronouns. So that is what I'm going to do. Audrey's name on Instagram is Audrey. That's what I'm going to go with. If I get it wrong, please forgive me. Apparently, someone told the bald eagle that you can only go to one march a year because marching with Leon will make the sister wives ineligible to march with Cody when he goes next week to march for polygamous rights. I feel like the fact that he even thought that shows how big of a clown he is, if that's what he really thought at all. I think that Cody's real hesitation didn't have anything to do with both marches. I think that that was an excuse. I think that Cody really has a problem with them going at all, because there's a difference between tolerance and acceptance. I said this before. I think that Cody tolerated Leon's choice. I don't think that he accepted it. I feel like that's his true feelings. And I look back at the episode where he made the statement about, it's not his job to judge. He's supposed to act in the way that Jesus did, and Jesus accepted all people. And then you say, but, I'm not the one that has to deal with that decision on Judgment Day. It makes it seem like you're negating whatever you said. I don't respect Cody. And I really didn't like what he had to say in this episode, but we'll get to it. We begin this episode seeing Leon in the kitchen. They want to ask Janelle and Mary a question. Mary, of course, is trying to figure out the question while it's just the two of them, what they're going to be talking about. But you got to wait and see. So Mary reminds us that their relationship with Leon has become strained due to the catfish that happened a few years ago. I still can't believe at this point that it's being brought up, but it is. Maybe because it did change the trajectory of her relationship with her family. We know that Mary was catfish, and as a result, things got very negative, Mary's words, with Leon and Mary. I feel like to this day, Leon knows certain things that happened with that situation that we just don't. Because even though Mary messed up, even though Mary lied, the way that Leon dragged this out and for the length of time, and how cruel and harsh at times I feel like Leon was, there had to be more to it, especially given the fact that Leon was suffering in certain ways too by having to hide who they were. You would think that there would be a little bit more forgiveness there, because even though you thought that Mary was going to leave with this person, because it didn't work out, because it was a catfish, whatever reason, Mary is still there. Mary didn't leave. She's still in this cul-de-sac suffering while your father isn't coming to visit her, while your father is married to these other women. And he admitted a few episodes ago that he doesn't operate like he's married to Mary. So knowing all of this, at some point, like, you gotta let it go. And I think that in this episode, we kind of saw that. The lady has been married to a narcissist of a man for 20 years. Can you imagine having to live with that? She deserves a little bit of grace. So Janelle arrives. Leon asks Mary and Janelle to go with them and some friends to this Women's Right March in Washington, D.C. in January, after the inauguration. So Leon is going to bring a group of friends to the family, and they have some type of conversation, and we find out that Leon may be possibly dating one of them. I wonder why the bird, who has all of these supposed friends that are part of the community, was not asked. Because we've heard that time and time again from both the bird and as well as the bald eagle, that Robin is the reason why Cody opened his mind to this, because Robin has a lot of friends that are part of the community. Yet here you are, and the bird wasn't even asked to come. Leon says that this is not a protest. This is just a way to show support to women and the community. They are asking the two of them because they have supported them a lot, and because they feel like this will be something that, you know, both Mary and Janelle will want to do, which makes me wonder what Janelle did that was so different from the other moms. I think there's a lot of Janelle that we don't get to see. Mary is moved to tears at the request because we know that Leon has pulled away from Mary significantly over the past couple seasons. Mary feels like this is a good step and this gives her hope. Janelle is open and interested. Janelle says, as a teenager, I always wanted to run away and do those protests and things, but I was in such a conservative society growing up, it was just always a non-starter. So not only did Janelle want to run away, but she loves hard rock. She loves leather pants. She loves going to concerts and stuff. I wish we got to see more of that side of her, because she just seems like she's a real down-to-earth person. Like, she comes off as stoic and prudish sometimes, but there are other layers to her. And we know now that Janelle is also a wine drinker, because that wine rack that she had behind her in season 18 was full of bottles. So Janelle says she's down, even though it means that she's going to have to travel with Mary. We hear again how her and Mary are working on things. And Janelle says the fact that she's willing to think about going at all with Mary shows that there has been growth, because there was a time where she wouldn't have even traveled with her, which is crazy when you think about it. So Caleb and Maddie. Maddie and Caleb are moving in with Janelle. We're told that they're coming back for financial reasons, for college reasons, for work reasons, and to be near extended family. Cody arrives back from this drive. That Cody was not the only person who was on this drive, yet Cody is the only one that's complaining about how long the drive was and how he felt like, he drove forever. Meanwhile, you have Aspen, who says it wasn't that bad and she didn't feel like they were driving forever. Many years ago in therapy, I had to identify who in my life were wells, like people who filled me up, and who were drains, the people who like took from me, who drained my spirit, who made me feel like they were emotionally draining, because it happens. And if I were to do this exercise, Cody would be labeled as a drain. I feel like Cody drains and pulls and emotionally abuses and manipulates and maneuvers and does all of these things to that family. And for many, many years, they did not see it. Even watching him up here, I was like, goodness gracious, everything is an issue. And it's amplified by like 30. Mary is just simply asking, what would you like me to do to help? And even then his response, it's not like, Mary, I don't know yet. Give me a second. It's like, Mary, I have no idea. Like, she's bothering you. You see Aspen shaking her head at the way he's responding, because even she in that moment sees that her father is a joke. There was nothing that lady could do right in Cody's eyes. I think the only thing that Mary did right was when she handed over her paycheck to the family, because he speaks to her time and time again in a manner where you could tell that he just can't stand her. So he's complaining about how many cars they have, and he needs Garrison to move his truck now, and he needs this, and they got all these cars. There's 18 cars in here, and da 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 da. And then he starts sitting there counting the cars, and da da da. Some of the cars don't even work. So they're literally pushing the cars out of the driveway. As all this is going on, you hear Caleb saying in the most sarcastic tone, I'm excited to live here. Yay. Because Caleb sees like, okay, yeah, I may like Cody. I may love the family, but this is going to be a bit much. I'm not accustomed to this chaos. My father isn't this type of person. My mother wasn't this type of person, but Cody is a different type of person. So you hear Caleb say, I'm a 30-year-old man and I'm married and I have a wife that's pregnant. Excuse me. And I'm moving back in with my in-laws into a 1-bedroom loft. If someone should have, no, let me not even say that. Because I was going to say, if you knew all of that, then maybe you should have waited to have a baby. But I have friends who I know abstained until they got married. And they were on birth control. And they apparently weren't taking it long enough. Because a lot of them got pregnant within the first few months of being married. I mean, immediately, like, girls, what y'all doing? So Christine tells us that she's excited that Maddie and Caleb are there, but she knows that this is going to be hard for Caleb, especially because he's an outdoorsman and now they're in Vegas. And I would think that that would be hard for him too. Robin interjects and says that she feels like it's the other way around because he's doing what's best for his family. Why can't the bird allow for people to talk without her always having to state her opinion? I can't stand that lady. When Cody turned 30, he had 7 or 8 children and 3 wives. And as he's saying it, there's no joy there. Like, you don't see him having a spark in his eye as he's talking about 30. Maddie at this point is 21 weeks. Caleb and Maddie and Hunter are the only one who know what Maddie's having, and Hunter knows already because Hunter is in Denver. So Maddie tells us that another reason why they moved back is because Caleb has some health issues. So we find out that 2 months prior to this move that Caleb had a pulmonary embolism. And I was like, oh my goodness. I think it was Lisa. Lisa had put it in the comment section of one of the previous videos about how that's part of the reason why he moved, because he was having some health complications. They didn't stay on it long enough, but that thing is really, really serious. People have died from it. Like, blood clots, period, are serious. But in your lung, oh my goodness. So he walked around for a week not knowing that that's what he had. He thought he had pneumonia. They want to be close to a hospital in case it were to happen again. As a result, they felt like they needed to move in with Janelle, along with all the other reasons that I listed, because the doctors have told them that it's even a miracle that he's alive, and it is. Back to Cody. So it's 2 weeks before Mary and Janelle are supposed to make this trip with Leon and crew. Janelle is concerned that the other moms will feel bad that they aren't invited. We see them sit down with Cody and the rest of the wives to let them know that they're going to do a barch with Leon. Oh my goodness, excuse me. Apparently I can't record this late again because I am rude. I keep yawning, and I know y'all. I'm sorry, you guys, for passing it along. I'm sorry. Janelle says it's the Million Woman March. Christine says, oh, what fun. First thing out of Cody's mouth is, it seems very political to me. And if it is, what's the problem? They let it be known that this march isn't just about women. This march is about the LGBTQIA plus community. Cody is swinging his feathers left and right because you see him looking back and forth between Janelle and Mary and them. And they're ruffled. He is not feeling this idea. Robin seems confused, but she points out, even though I'm not going and I wasn't asked to go, I'm just happy to stay home. Christine agrees and says, yes, she's happy too. So we're supposed to believe that the bird, who has so many friends that are in the community, this woman who is all about women standing up for women, really supports the community when she's sitting here talking about how happy she is to stay home and how she doesn't know if it's a good idea or not. Now, I'm not saying maybe she's happy to stay home because of the size of the crowd or because she may feel like it might have been dangerous, but Robin has never been present to me in any capacity to show up for the community other than what she claims she has done. And as I said before, and I'm going to say it again, if she could sit there and lie to her minor children about how their father took her purity, if she can sit there, even though we saw it on television, and lie to her children and say that Christine and them didn't want to have Christmas and Thanksgiving with them when we saw that they did, if she can sit there and alienate them, if she can sit there and remove their father from their life, then that heifer can do anything. Robin says, but I know that Leon and Mary have had a difficult time. And I know that their relationship has been difficult in the past. So I think the fact that, that Leon wants to invite Mary, that's good news. Sorry. Ooh, I didn't mean to snort. Mary is concerned that if Leon finds out that Cody is not on board with the march, that they will feel like Cody isn't supporting them. And Mary is concerned that Leon could interpret his hesitancy of them going on this march as a reflection on, Leon. That, he is highly conservative and Leon is very liberal. Cody says, I'm sitting in this place kind of finding this obnoxious because I've got something else in my world that's much more important, and I would much rather have them all involved in that. Why can't they be involved in both? Why can't he be willing to put himself to the side for once and think about children other than the birds? He then brings up Joe Darger and how they're organizing a march for people who don't have rights in Utah. But what does that have to do with anything? Janelle brings up that right now it is a felony to be polygamous, and Joe Darger and his family have been working to decriminalize polygamy. Now, Cody and them like to act like they helped with this alone, but there were other people in place working on this thing well before they decided to be public on TLC. The Dargers existed before the Browns. The Dargers were doing things publicly before the Browns. Christine was on the same board as his first wife, I believe, if I believe correctly. And at one point he served on it too. So stop acting like y'all are the face of polygamy when there were other people who were doing other things on other outlets. So them participating in a march on the Capitol for polygamists who don't have their civil rights in Utah is supposed to trump his child. He says there is no need for Leon and the sister wives to march for the LGBTQIA, I might be saying it in the wrong order, plus rights, because they already have their rights. In case they haven't noticed, how do I say this? Sir, you're sitting on a nationally televised show. This show is seen all over the world, and you've never been arrested for something that you've admittedly said on national TV that you are actively a participant in, at least for these three ladies at this point. You do have some rights. Because you trying to use certain words like legislator to make legislation and all this other stuff, and this may be a political thing, to make yourself sound like you're really doing something there, just as you using that as a muzzle on the fact that you don't support your child. I'm sorry, I gotta call it like I see it. Cody does not support his child. Cody does not support Leon in this, and he's using all these other excuses that make absolutely no sense. And you're getting so mad because, God forbid, you had to run out of Vegas and you had to go to Utah, even though you didn't have to, because the very people that you're talking about, the Doggers who still live in Utah, have been on this show on more than one occasion, and they're openly polygamous. They actually had a case where their child passed and they were investigated, and they had to talk to different personnel and social workers and officers. Meanwhile, you all, who never ever were approached by a detective or social services or anything of that nature, made a whole thing of it on TV and blatantly spat in the faces of those people who actually had to go through that. But you're still sitting here acting like you don't have certain favors that the rest of the society in your world doesn't have. Anyways, for whatever reason, Janelle says she can't fault Cody because a gay person has more rights than they do. Janelle's words, not mine. Janelle, I need Janelle not to kiss his butt in this moment, because she has a tendency to want to sit there and just stand by her man. I was going to sing it, but it's too late. She wants to stand by her man, and I need her to sit down, please. Stop doing what you're doing, because you're part of the reason why Cody turned into who Cody is now. Until they spent the day in the person's shoes that is sitting here and is going on this march, I need them to stop trying to compare issues, because there is no comparison. We're talking about two totally different things here, and I hate that that's what he was doing. He says, they're going off to go to this march when my rights aren't even recognized. I live in Las Vegas, in exile from Utah. I said, I thought Cody was just dramatic in season 16, 17, 18. He's being dramatic here too, because at one point in the earlier seasons, when they arrived in Vegas, did Cody not say that Vegas was his Plymouth Rock? That Vegas was his peace after the storm? Did he not say that? So it's interesting how things change over years. Because even now, right now, because some of your other wives don't want to go to Utah, Christine, you want to go to Utah. You want to move back to Utah. But once we're in Flagstaff, oh no, now we don't want to move to Utah again. I don't never see myself moving back there again. But Robin and you earlier this season were saying how you want to move back there, but you're going to change it later on again, because that's what you do. And your wife even admits later on in this episode that that's what you do. Janelle and Mary are confused as to why they can't do both marches, as are we who are watching the show. Cody says participating in the march would be taking energy from the polygamous movement. What? I said, what? I'm a woman and I'm taking energy from your polygamous movement because I'm a woman who's marching for the rights of women. There was other things a part of that march, but I'm just saying. Janelle and Mary say that the two things are not mutually exclusive, and they're right. And then finally, Mary finally says what I wanted somebody to say from the very beginning. And she says, I'm sorry, but I'm going to support my child. And that is final. Good for Mary. Good for Mary. Because you're sitting here going back and forth with this dodo bird that doesn't know what he's talking about. When your child needs you, the child that he knows that you already have a strained relationship with, and you would think that he would be encouraging you to make sure that you try to fix that. And what better way than to show your support, especially when you've been asking, how can I support you? He finally agrees to let Mary and Janelle go as he sits there and he pouts. because he says things, but his face says something else. Janelle says, this is the roller coaster of a ride we always talk about, Cody. It's the charm of who he is. That's what she said, y'all. What the hell is charming about this roller coaster? What is charming about somebody who flip-flops all the time, who's indecisive, who doesn't stand on what he said, who is a liar and a manipulator? That's charming to you? Oh, Janelle, you really must have had it bad previously. Really. He claims that as he got going and talking about the situation, that he realized that it wasn't going to cause harm to their cause. The two causes had nothing to do with one another. The bird hopes that a positive thing is something that will come from this. She doesn't want to see something negative or highly political or something that is just not really who they are. Well, you all don't even really love each other or support each other or care about each other. So what does it matter if this is negative or highly political or not? Because you pick and choose when you want to operate like a family, if I'm being completely honest. That's the end of that. It's time for the family gathering. Maddie and Caleb are there to let the family know the gender of the baby. The wives reminisce about how they found out the genders of their children. We found out that Christine only had an ultrasound for Truly. The rest of them were surprised. A lot of the other mothers did not know what the genders of their children were either. Mary reminds us of how Cody misgendered Leon at birth because they mistook the umbilical cord for something else. Cody says that Leon was his second child, so he was still a new dad. But Mary reminds him that Leon is actually his third child, not the second. I get him maybe struggling with maybe the 5th or the 6th or the 18th. But the third? You didn't remember that Mary birthed your third child? It's not that hard to count to 3. They have paper mustaches and hair bows, and the family members are supposed to either put on the pink bow or the paper mustache as to whether they think it's a girl or a boy. Caleb and Maddie pass out balloons to the family. They announce that the balloons that stay inflated determines what they're having. So they handed out pink and blue balloons. They begin blowing up the balloons, and the blue ones are the ones that stay inflated, revealing that Maddie and Caleb are having a boy. It was extremely underwhelming for a gender reveal. Like, I was like, okay, this is what we're doing. Got it. Maddie says she's naming the baby Axel James because she had a dream where a little boy came up to her and he said, "My name is Axel James." And she had this dream a couple days before she found out she was pregnant. I've heard of other people knowing what they were having. I knew what I was having, even though the doctors didn't. When it came to my son did not want to cooperate. What he did was he always slept balled up. So he would have his thing like this. His little booty would be in the air tight. Like when I say he never cooperated, one time they thought they saw it, and then they were like, "We're not sure. We think it's a boy." But I knew it was a boy. And my grandmother, who did her little thing, told me it was a boy. She even predicted when I was having my baby. And I was like, there's no way I'm having my baby then, because I had my son at 34 weeks. And I was like, no, I'm not going to have him at 34 weeks. I'm not due. And she's like, you're going to have the baby next week. I mean, I had to get induced, but she was right. Okay, back to the episode. So it's therapy time. The ladies go to therapy with Nancy. By the ladies, I'm talking Mary and Janelle. Janelle lets us know that she's not a drinking person, but whenever she thinks about a session, it makes her want to have a drink. I said, good Lord, if it's that bad. They've despised each other for a long time. I feel like it's been the whole 20 years plus. This all started to me because Janelle was originally only supposed to be her sister-in-law that met the man that Mary was dating. It wasn't supposed to turn into something else. I do not think that Mary had a say-so when it came to Janelle and Cody being together. and she probably did somewhere down the line feel betrayed. We're not gonna say that they just didn't get along because of some cleaning stuff. And we've talked about this various times in the comment section. But in reading the book, it very much so appears that Mary didn't have knowledge about some of the stuff that was going on. So Mary let us know that a couple of days ago that they were being interviewed and the subject of Leon came up, and the woman who was interviewing looked at Mary and said, "How do you feel about such and such?" Janelle answered the question. And I'm sitting there saying, before she even finished, I was like, okay, so it's okay for Robin to answer questions all the time for everyone. She interjects left and right, even to the point where she was trying to answer and tell you what Cody was saying and what you were saying when you were letting it be known that you were leaving in this most recent season. She's done it this whole entire time. But you want to have an issue with Janelle because Janelle answered something that you felt like was for you. So Mary says she felt like Janelle didn't trust what her answer would be, and as a result, Janelle answered. Janelle says, "I did not remember that person asking that question directly to Mary, and I asked some other people after it was brought up, and they said that they did not remember the question being asked that way either." Mary then texted Janelle at some point and said she was very disappointed that Janelle answered the question that was asked to Mary. And I said, okay, Mary, this is part of the problem with you, where people get irritated with you, because this is extremely childish. Janelle says that it felt like an attack via text, and as a result, they went back and forth. The danger of texting someone is emotions do get misinterpreted, and I just feel like a lot of that could have been alleviated if Mary would have called her. Mary let us know that she would have been satisfied with Janelle just saying, "I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do that." But correct me down below if I'm wrong. I do not feel like Janelle needed to apologize for that, especially since it's something that other people are saying they've done before. Not only that, it was a question that was asked, and apparently it wasn't said Mary. It was just that the person looked in Mary's direction, so she says. I've had people I thought that were looking at me before that weren't. So it could, the both of them could be wrong and right. Who knows? Who cares? Janelle says that saying I did wrong by you, but I didn't do anything. And Mary doesn't agree. So despite already paying for the airfare for this flight, Janelle is having second thoughts about traveling with Mary. She says if they can't clear the air and get this, that she's all for not coming on the trip. Janelle and Mary say the same things they always say in therapy, which is they communicate differently. They never have dealt with their issues properly in a therapy situation to me, because at no point do we really see resolve. There have been some momentum, but it's still a lot of things that are under the surface. So she points out that had it have been anybody else, Janelle does, that it wouldn't have been a big deal. And she's right, because I said it earlier. Janelle is like, you know, I didn't think that this would turn into this. And Mary was like, I felt like I could talk to you about this because we're in a better place now. And Janelle's like, okay, I could see that. Janelle ends up asking for what tools they should use to when they get to this point. Nancy says, do you know that Mary can be defensive? And Janelle admits that what she previously perceived as aggression for years, she's now realizing is just Mary being defensive. And she asks Mary, are you defensive? And Mary can't even openly say that she's defensive. Instead, what she says is she calls it walls. And she says that she's trying to protect herself. So for the umpteenth time, Janelle, we know, withdraws, Mary attacks. We hear that 20 years ago, that Janelle would have said that Mary is an itch, put a B in front of that, and she just wants to make everyone miserable. And I said, gracious, this is how you really felt about this girl. Y'all stuff is deep. She says, but now I don't see it that way. The fact that you used to feel like Mary was a female dog lets me wonder what you possibly said in the past to Cody when you spoke about Mary, because in the book you said that you used to complain to Cody about Mary and he would do nothing about it. And I'm sure that Mary did the same in regards to Janelle. So this thing has been festering for a long time. They've been doomed because this is over 20 years of built up anger, frustration, and annoyance with one another that just simply aren't just going to be able to undo. Mary says her walls are a way to protect herself. I said that. She says because no one else will do it. And I said, oh my goodness. No one else includes her husband. I'm telling y'all, I always go back and forth with Mary. One minute I can't stand her. The next I feel bad with her. It varies from day to day, from the beginning of the show and the end of the show. I just never know with her. They agree that they're going to work on certain things and they're going to go on this trip. So before they go to the march, Leon is bringing a bunch of friends over to meet the family. Leon wants to talk to the parents before the family comes, but it's just they're at Mary's house and Mary is trying to figure out first what the conversation is about, which annoys Leon because Leon wants to reveal this in the way that Leon wants to reveal this, but the friends encourage her and Leon reveals that they are dating Audrey. Mary says, congratulations. It's very awkward. They've been dating for 3 weeks. So after 3 weeks, you're sitting here and you're introducing your significant other to your family. There's no way I do that, but they've been friends for a while, so they're handling it this way. The parents enter and wonder which person Leon is dating. Leon waits until the entire family is at the wet bar and calls all the parents outside because they have an announcement to make. And Mary grabs Audrey, which makes it even more obvious that Audrey is Leon's boo thing. It's a bit much. Cody says, well, Audrey, I'll do this because I don't discriminate. What are your intentions with Leon? And Audrey says, only the best. I'm not mad at that response. I might use it for myself in the future if I replace anybody. It's hugs all around. Cody says, this is a different kind of different for us, but we are really good at different, whatever that means. We hear from the friends how they feel about polygamy, how even though some of them are feminists, that they feel like this is different. It's not the oppressive form of polygamy. All these women are happy and they want to be there. And I said all these women were really good at acting because a lot of them weren't as happy as they appeared. So the next day, Janelle and Mary arrive in DC. Janelle is concerned because on the news she's seeing a lot of angry people. They're also concerned about the size of the crowd and they don't know a lot about the march. They arrive to meet the girls for dinner. They have a fun time and Mary is just happy that Leon is glad that Janelle and Mary are there. Janelle and Mary high-five in confessionals and say that that's one of the main things they wanted to do was be there to support Leon. It's the next day. They arrive to the area and Mary is overwhelmed by the people. Janelle is just taking in the buzz. Mary says she can feel an angry energy and they both feel a little bit of anxiety about how angry some of the people are. Janelle agrees. They don't have good cell service. I want to know who's their provider because you're in DC. It should have been decent, I would think, but whatever. I'm going to stay in my lane. They finally meet up with Leon and their friends as the crowd begins to get larger around them. Leon loses one of their friends and the friend's sister. They initially are walking with them while they're holding their signs. And Leon and Audrey are hand in hand, happy, whatever. They decide that they're going to look for the two missing friends. And they tell the moms not to move. Just stand there with some of the friends that are there. They haven't even started marching yet at this point. Janelle and Mary end up telling the other friends, y'all stay here. We're going to go to the bathroom. So they go to the bathroom. Because of the lines and everything else, it takes them about an hour just to find a bathroom. Then their bathroom walk back, so to and from, takes about 3 hours. They eventually find the girls after 3 hours, but them being separated and it just being Janelle and Mary did give them time to bond. Finally, they find their way back. Leon is happy. One of the things that I loved is while they were walking through the crowd and people were saying, like, you can't go, there's nowhere to go or whatever. Janelle was like, we're just trying to get back to our child. I thought that that was sweet because it was genuine and it was sincere and it was how those ladies felt. Those three ladies, whether they got along with each other or not, did love each other's kids. Because if you notice, their kids still interact with each other. Janelle says it's like a bodily function as you're trying to pass through this crowd. They're both thrilled that they see Leon marching and shouting and happy. Janelle says, I'm a woman first, and I'm identifying with a lot of the things that I'm seeing out here. Excuse me, the stuff that is being said. And I'm sure that that's how they feel because they have to be empowered as well. The moms are proud that they're getting along as moms and that they haven't had any snarky exchanges in between them. They head to dinner to discuss today's events. Leon is super stoked that they came. Janelle leaves, and then eventually the other ladies do too, because Mary wants a moment just to speak to Audrey and Leon. She asks if it's okay to hear Audrey's coming out story. Audrey says that she's been out for a little over a year and a half, that it happened while she was on vacation, and she told her parents, and her parents were extremely open about it and accepting. Mary is really beating herself up because she was not, and I don't feel like Mary's response was truly that bad. Mary now is beaming, and so are Leon and Audrey. It's actually a very sweet moment to see. Mary admits to making Leon coming out about her, because she was like, I saw Leon doing this, and I saw Leon doing that, and I saw Leon getting married, and I saw me having grandpa, and now it's changed, and she shouldn't have. She's choosing now to accept Leon as they are. Leon appreciates Mary's willingness to learn, and that is what the love of a parent, in my opinion, is about. Mary says this is a big first step for them, and she's happy that she came, and she's looking forward to continued healing between her and Leon, and just being mother and child. And that is the end of this episode. This episode wasn't bad. Cody just really, really made me upset because he manages to make every single thing about him. And I'm sure I'm going to get very annoyed with him in the next episode. Thank you so much for joining. Please like the video. It does help the channel. Comment if you have not done so already. What do you all think about Cody's reaction to the wives going to this march? Put it down below. Until next time.